Jenny Lu's international supermarket is a favorite among Beijing's expats. From Wisconsin cheese and Tennessee whiskey to juices from Florida, its shelves are packed with all things American. But management expects business to take a hit as China and the US slapped tit-for-tat tariffs on imports from Friday.
If tariffs are added, then we will have to adjust our prices. If customers feel that the prices are very high after the adjustments, then sales will go down.
Across town, the culinary delights of this American steakhouse are also in the line of fire. Its manager says he owes the success of his business to US pork, and that customers may not find his cuisine as palatable once tariffs are imposed.
I hope that the prices don't go up because it's definitely going to affect our business, and probably for the negative, at least taste-wise.
On Friday, more than 1,100 categories of Chinese products will be subject to higher tariffs when imported to the US. China will also begin charging higher tariffs on US goods including pork, rice and wheat. Collectively, the tariffs will affect $34 billion worth of goods traded between the two countries.
Thank you very much, everybody. Congratulations.
That may not be much, but US President Donald Trump says his administration will expand the tariffs to $450 billion worth of Chinese exports. And Beijing says it will strike back in equal measure.
If the US implements the tariff measures, it will impose the tariffs on enterprises from China and other countries, including US companies. Implementation of additional tariffs by the US will in fact damage the global industrial chain and value chain. To sum it up, the US is firing shots at the whole world.
The World Trade Organization and the Bank of England agree the trade spat could impact countries around the world. And it's already clear that consumers in the world's two largest economies will be among the biggest losers. Mobin Nasir, TRT World.
Let's go to Paris next and speak to our editor-at-large, Craig Copetas. Craig, hey there. What are you hearing about what are the potential motives for Trump to be kicking off this dispute with China?
Well, first of all, Jenny Lu's international supermarket is acceptable collateral damage in this war. Today, the WTO issued a warning that this trade war was going to drag down the world economy. But $34 billion is a very small implementation. The Chinese will, of course, respond. The world and the markets take a collective breath. And anyone who goes into the Oval Office to try and get an olive branch from Trump, this is what he's going to say, I'm being told.
Right.
Narrow balance, that's still growing. That's it.
Yeah. Well, it's 34 billion for now. It's 34 billion for now, but potentially that could increase. They're already talking about 450 billion, and if you combine that, you've got nearly $1 trillion worth of trade.
Everyone calm down here. Donald Trump is a professional coward. He backs down. He always backs down. He might say he likes tough guys, tough leaders, but backing down is what he does. He backed down in the $25 million fraud suits brought against Trump University. He paid them. He said Mexico was going to pay for the wall. Guess what? They're not paying for the wall. He promised universal health care coverage. Back down on that. He said he was going to reduce the deficit, Azar. Back down on that. We don't have enough time to go down the list.
Yeah.
He is going to back down on this. What we're hearing is his usual reptilian rhetoric. The Chinese are responding with, intemperate rhetoric, and the EU's wandering around as usual, befuddled. And markets are doing what markets do. They sort themselves out.
Right. One possible ray of hope in all of this, the German Handelsblatt newspaper reporting that the US ambassador to Germany, Richard Grenell, told the auto industry over there that Washington may cut duties to zero if the Germans do the same. Is this a sign, do we think, that Trump may perhaps now want to start bringing the allies on side in order to fight China?
It may be too late in that game, but you're absolutely right. The Trump administration, first of all, they're not going to drop tariffs. Okay, zero tariffs. But there's not yet been a move by Trump to bring into his tent the other nations with gripes against China. This is the big thing. And the reason for this is because those other combatants with China don't involve Trump's political base. The Chinese know this. They're going to do tariffs on Republican states. And I go back to this point. Any way you cut this as, any number we want to put out there, Trump is going to say, narrow the trade imbalance. All of these numbers you're throwing out, Mr. Sukri, guess what? That trade imbalance is still growing. That's what he wants cut.
All right. We have plenty more to talk about on Friday when these tariffs do kick in. But for now, Craig Copetas in Paris. Thank you.